In today's video, we are going to be talking about why you may struggle with being authentic, why you may struggle with connecting to your body, connecting to your emotions, seeing what is going on, and making authentic decisions. Not making decisions on autopilot or feeling like, have you ever been in a situation where you knew how you wanted to show up with someone? Let's say it's like a family member, and you've done all this inner work and you show up around them and you still find yourself almost revealing too much to them, more than you would want to. You find yourself making yourself smaller, shrinking yourself, and you go back to being that little girl. You go back to, okay, so I hope you guys don't mind. My cats are just playing in the background. My cat gets really hyper. She's literally like a dog. Like, she does not, I don't think she's like, internally her spirit animal is a dog. I don't know. But anyways, hopefully it does not affect this video, because I really want to share these things with you guys and I don't want to put it off because I'm not going to get the chance to do this video later. This is the best time for me. So we'll just roll with it. We'll just roll with it. Hopefully you can still get anything you need to get while that's going on in the background. So what we're going to be going over in this video is why you may have disconnected from your body, why you now find yourself performing all the time. You don't actually show up as your most authentic self. You don't say the things that you want to say out loud, and you find yourself trying to please other people, or you freeze in the moment and you don't know what to say, or you fight with people, or you run away from certain situations and you avoid them. So we're going to be going over why this happens and why your body is the literal blueprint to your healing. Your body has the map. It has all the points that will allow you to heal the fearful avoidant attachment style or any other type of trauma or anything else that you have gone through. Which brings me to my first point, which is that when you were a child, especially if you have fearful avoidant attachment, if you grew up with a lot of parents criticizing you, and you grew up having to perform, having to show up a certain way in order to receive love, you felt like you couldn't just show up as your most authentic self and be loved. You had to show up in a very specific way, get certain grades, not act out. You couldn't really express anger. You couldn't really express any of the negative, what were considered negative emotions. You couldn't just be frustrated. You couldn't just be sad. You really had to almost step into this version of yourself where you're just like happy and bubbly all the time, and you were just like a performing machine, that you didn't have any of those negative emotions, because when you did have those emotions, they were not met with love. Children need love to survive. There has been research where if children were not given love, were not given that touch and affection at a very young age as babies, they could actually die. There is research on this. And so you really learn to adapt in this environment to get that love that you needed. That is actually a need. And so you started showing up in these ways. You're like, okay, this works, this doesn't work. And you developed a strategy and you suppress your emotion. And emotions are energy. Everything in this world is made up of energy. And as we all know, energy cannot be destroyed or created. And so just because you suppress these emotions and you no longer see them, or you think that they have just disappeared because you're no longer paying attention to what is going on in your body, you've suppressed them and you're not expressing them outwardly, they don't just disappear. They have to go somewhere because energy cannot be destroyed. And so if it is not expressed out loud, if you can't be angry, if you can't be frustrated, if you can't be disappointed, if you can't be sad, and you can't express those things or shake them out of your body, or just express them in any way that felt good to you, that was calling out to you in your body in the moment, you stored that in the body. And if you want to learn a little bit more about this, there is an amazing book called The Body Keeps the Score. And it has so much research in it on this. And it is based on PTSD from war veterans and how they actually healed a lot of the things that they experienced from war and all the trauma they experienced by coming back to their body. And it discusses all of that in detail. So I highly, highly recommend this book. But just going based on the research from that book, that your body stores all of these suppressed emotions that are now in your fascia, that are now causing you to show up in certain ways in relationships. Those stuck emotions in your body are actually controlling so much more than you think. They're not just there hanging out and not impacting you at all. They're actually impacting your decisions, your daily decisions. They're actually impacting the dynamics you have in your relationships. They're actually impacting your daily habits. They're actually impacting the personality that you have now as an adult, because you almost try to not brush against any of the pain that is in your body by showing up in a certain way, if that makes sense. Let me see if I can find an example to explain this a little bit better. A really good example of this is when you get triggered by something that someone else does, and then on the surface your ego makes you think, oh well, it's their fault, they're doing this annoying thing and they're really getting on my nerves. But really, on a deeper surface level, that wouldn't really impact you if there wasn't something there in your body that it brushed against and it kind of ruffled up something inside. It's almost like touching like some kind of wound that you have that hasn't healed yet, and it's causing you this pain. Because if, like, let's say on my arm right here, there's nothing, there are no wounds, and I'm just doing this, like somebody's just being annoying, like somebody's just triggering me. They can't really trigger me because there is nothing there for them to trigger me. There are no wounds here for them to trigger or bother, like there isn't anything. But let's say I had a cut right here, and there comes a person that's like doing this. That is going to bother me. That is going to cause me a lot of pain because I already have the wound here and I need to heal it first, so that when someone does this, it's like, no, like there's nothing there bothering me anymore. That's been released. And it's the same thing with emotional wounds or any stuck emotions that we have or any trauma that we may have experienced. If that is not healed, when someone comes and you think they are triggering you, they are actually just a reflection showing you what is inside of you. They are actually just showing you your own wounds, which is why I believe relationships can be the most healing place that you can do inner work in. They can be the most healing, wonderful place. But so many people now, because there are so many options and so many dating apps, they go from one relationship to the next without actually healing the thing, and then they blame the other person. And it's like, but like those things were inside of you. They were actually just the mirror for you to see, what do I need to heal? And I'm not saying any of this is easy, and I'm not saying any of it is like, oh great, like somebody's triggering me, let me go heal this. It's not as easy as it sounds, but that is the work that is necessary in order to heal. And maybe this is not where you're at right now. Maybe, I believe that everybody is on their own journey, and a huge part of healing through your body is knowing what your body is ready to heal at this moment in time. Because if you were to go all in and heal everything all at once, that would dysregulate your system even more. And that is something that I used to think I needed to help people do in my coaching practice, is that I need to help them heal all of these things and like work some miracles. But in reality, I am just there to guide someone through their healing and to really connect with their body, because their body has the answers. I don't have the answers. I am just there to give them the tools to regulate themselves, to give them the tools to be present in their body when it is when it feels so painful and it feels like they just want to run away, or they just want to ignore it, or they just want to fight it, or whatever it may be, or they just freeze in that moment, I am only there to guide that person through those things. I'm not there to change anything about them because they're not broken. I'm not there to fix anybody. And that is the most healing thing that you can even do in your relationships right now, allowing your partner to show up exactly as they are, allowing yourself to show up authentically exactly as you are, without trying to change, or without seeing yourself as this broken person that needs to be fixed. And something that really kept me stuck in this attachment style was believing that I was broken and that I needed to be fixed, and that I needed to reach perfection, and that I needed to achieve the certain image of myself where I was perfect and I showed up in these ways and I never made mistakes. But that kept me stuck even more, because perfection doesn't even exist and I'm not broken. But when I believed those things, I felt like it was like an expectation and this standard that I couldn't meet, because perfection is not a thing. You can't be perfect. Like, we're all human and we're all going to make mistakes. And when I had this expectation of myself to show up in perfection, to never make mistakes, I beat up myself so much and it caused me so much anxiety. And when I would have conversations with people, I'm like, oh, did I say the right thing? Did I do the right thing? And I would literally have so much social anxiety that I didn't even want to interact with people. And sometimes it still comes up during my luteal phase, and I work through that by knowing that, okay, this is what's going on in my body, this is where I'm at right now. And the more I try to fight that, and I try to kind of appear perfect and have it all figured out and try to say the right thing and do the right thing, whatever the right thing is, like, who even invented that? Like, what even is that? Like, that's just a made up thing, and it just leads to more anxiety. But like, that's why I was experiencing so much anxiety around this, because it wasn't even a real thing. Like, there is no right way to show up. There is no right way to be a human being. All you can do is really just show up as your most authentic self, which really just means is that you're showing up to the moment, in the moment, and you're not trying to perform, you're not trying to appear differently than you are, and you are showing up exactly with what you are experiencing, with what you have. If you feel tired, you are okay with allowing people to see that. If you feel sad, you're okay allowing people to see that. And it's not like this, you have to put up this wall or this facade and pretend like nothing is going on and just perform, because that creates disconnection. And that is what causes us to feel so disconnected from each other, because we're all putting up this facade that everything is perfect, everything is okay, and we don't actually connect on the commonality that we have, which is that we're all human. We all experience these emotions. That is actually what helps us connect. But because that was met with so much criticism and disconnection in the past, like, let's say your parents, whenever you would express your true authentic emotion in the moment, you were sad, you were angry, and you expressed that, and they withdrew or ignored you. Maybe you even cried. Like, I remember as a child, I would cry because, I don't know, whatever, like, I wanted something and I didn't get it. Instead of my parents explaining to me or speaking to me and saying, like, I know you want this thing, but we cannot do that right now. Instead of saying that, I was met with just being ignored. And so I learned that when I have emotions, when I have needs that I need to express, that I want, that I need in the moment, those weren't met. The world, the outside world around me was not safe. It was not predictable. So many fearful avoidants end up learning through that experience that their needs will not be met when they express them. And when you learn that your needs are not going to be met, when you learn that you have to perform to get love, when you learn that when you show up authentically, you will be criticized, you shut those parts of you off. And maybe this is why you struggle now to feel what is actually happening in your body, and you are afraid of your feelings. So many fearful avoidance. One of the most popular videos that I created on here is I think it was labeled "Why You're Afraid to Feel Your Feelings," if you want to check that out if you haven't already. But that is one of the most popular videos that I've done on here, and one of the most watched videos, because so many fearful avoidants are afraid to feel their feelings. And it makes so much sense that you're afraid to feel your feelings, because that wasn't met in the most loving way in the past. You had to perform, you had to show up in a certain way, you only were allowed to feel certain feelings. And if you felt anything else, you were ignored, you were criticized, you were pushed away, you were talked down to, whatever it was. Maybe you were even punished. But of course, it makes so much sense that you adapted in this way. It makes so much sense that you now feel like you can't access those emotions, or you're afraid to feel them. And so it's easier to just keep shoving them down, keep pushing them down. And as long as you don't see them and they don't see you, although they see you, as long as you don't look at them, then everything will be fine. But it's those feelings that are actually the roadmap to your healing. Accessing those feelings again and coming back to your body slowly is the roadmap to your healing. Your body has all the coordinates to your healing. And you guys have heard me say this in past videos, but I'll say it in here again in case anybody hasn't heard it in my past videos, that your body knows exactly the next step for you in your healing journey. At least that has been my experience. I've always found, or not that I've found, I don't know how to even word this, but I felt like the right book, not really right, but it was like the right book for me in that moment, the most authentic healing that I needed in each moment was sent to me. The course that I needed was sent to me. The mentor that I needed was sent to me. The book that I needed was sent to me. Everything was sent to me exactly when I needed it, and when I was open to learning from it, and when it was that next thing for me that I needed to heal in my body, and that my body felt ready to heal. And I think that is just such a beautiful thing, that you don't actually have to force anything. I feel like in the personal development space, there is a lot of this like energy of forcing your healing, and that if you're not just going full force, that you're not really doing enough. And it's like this really just like intense, forceful thing. But when you fight back your body, when you fight against your body, and you're not actually allowing it to use its wisdom and to use what it already knows how to do. Your body is amazing and knows exactly what needs to be healed, and it is a healing machine. Like, it knows exactly what needs to happen. Like, think about it. When you get a cut, do you have to think about how to heal that cut? No, your body knows exactly what to do to heal that cut. And it's exactly the same for your emotional and spiritual healing. And I just believe that whatever you need is going to be sent exactly to you when you are ready to heal it. So you don't really have to force anything. And that is exactly why I don't do that anymore in my coaching. I don't try to force my own agenda and try to force this thing. And sometimes clients come in and they want to get rid of emotions and want to get rid of like showing up in a certain way, and the way I would approach it in the past was, okay, you want to get rid of this, let's get rid of it, let's do some tapping, let's do this thing. But it's like, what you're coming to me with is most likely the next thing that you are ready to release, but that has to be done at your body's pace, not at my pace and not at your pace or what your mind thinks should happen in that moment. It needs to happen at your body's pace, because essentially you can't really force that. Your body's going to fight back if it's too much, and you can actually re-traumatize yourself. Learning to understand what it's actually saying to you, because I've came to a certain point in my own healing journey where I realized that I actually wasn't aware of what my body was telling me. I was shutting it off because it was all too much. And first of all, there is so much stimulation around us, so much information that we're constantly taking in, the news, social media, from people constantly texting you. Like, that is a lot to take in, and it can be really stimulating. And so sometimes we just dissociate and okay, my cat is being annoying. Sorry, had to let my cat out. She's cute until she's not. She can get really annoying. Oh my gosh, she's meowing again. I feel like I need to meow also, like to release this pent up energy, but anyways. Okay, so what was I saying? When I get distracted, I get distracted pretty well. What was I saying? So we'll leave it at that. Whatever I was in the middle of, we'll leave it at that, because I don't remember what I was saying. But I want to leave you with this. I don't want to leave you in the dark, or like if you're somewhere where you're thinking, okay, I know all of this now, my body's storing all of these emotions, it's been storing all of these emotions, and I've been avoiding my feelings because it all feels like too much. Oh, I remember now, I was talking about how we're all overly stimulated, and there's just so much to take in all the time, and that can cause us to dissociate even more. So not only do we have things from the past, we're also constantly consuming now, and that leads us to us being even more dissociated from the body, because it's like, how am I going to process all of this information? Like, we were not meant to process all of this information and constantly be connected. We have not evolved to that point yet. And so some things that you can do that I want to leave you with, so you don't feel like, okay, I know all this information now, I'm overstimulated, and I have all of these stuck emotions in my body or traumas, and it's like, I don't know how to connect with my body. I want to leave you with something that can bring you back into your body without re-traumatizing you. Like, there's only so much I can do on these YouTube videos. This is something that I can help you a little bit more within coaching, but I can still give you some of the tools, and you can practice with them and see what your body is okay with, what your body is willing to do at this point without forcing anything, so that you're not met with like this resistance when you try to force things on your body, and when you try to force a healing that your body's not ready for. And so something that you can start off with, let's say that you're like, I don't even know what's going on in my body. I have no idea. I feel so numb. I don't feel anything at all. That is actually an amazing thing to be aware of. And the fact that you're aware of that, being numb is not nothing. That is also a feeling. And if you are in that space and you're feeling dissociated and you're feeling numb and you're like, I don't really know where to go from here, I don't really have anywhere to go off of, you can start off by starting to move your body slowly, because that is a sign that you are in freeze. And when you're in freeze, which is a part of the one of the survival modes that you can go into, like fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, when you're in freeze, you don't want to go into things too fast, because that can cause you to come back down and shut down. And it all feels like too much anyways. Like everything feels so overwhelming. It feels like a lot. Something you want to start off by doing is just moving your body slowly, little bit by little bit. And you'll know how much to start off with that you're okay with. Maybe just going out for a walk. But maybe even if going out for a walk feels like too much, starting out by moving your hands and your legs, grounding yourself in your space, just moving like at whatever pace you feel like is tolerable for you, not to the point where it's putting you more in survival mode. I hope that makes sense. So there's only so much I can explain on here and go into, because I don't want to explain it too much mentally. It's something that I walk clients through on an experiential level, and kind of, it's like this back and forth like kind of dance that we do. So it's hard to do that on a platform where you're not in front of me and I can't do that with you. But I hope that it's coming across of, it's this dance that you can do with yourself, and just learning to reconnect back with your body and really listen to what are the sensations that are coming up. You don't have to know what feelings you're feeling, but maybe sensations. Is there some tightness when you move your body in a certain way? Is there some lightness? Is there like, is it getting colder? Is it getting warmer? Like just becoming more reacquainted with your body, what is going on inside. Like when I'm talking to this person, is there this tension in my heart? Is this closing in my heart? Like just really going at your body's pace. And in the beginning, maybe you won't even get any of that information. You're just like, okay, I'm moving my body and this feels really weird and I don't want to do it. But just starting off, like, look how slow I'm even moving. Like, you don't want to jump right in. You don't want to just jump right in and start moving it. Like even dancing, I wouldn't recommend dancing right off the bat. And I wouldn't recommend doing anything intense right off the bat. If you've been in freeze, you need to wake up the body slowly, because you've been in this like mode of like, you're almost like an ice cube. And if you move that too fast, or you do any sudden movements, it's like you're crushing the ice cube. It's like you're breaking it. And you want to just melt that ice slowly. You want to melt that ice slowly so that it doesn't break and shatters into pieces. If you're not in freeze and you're in a different mode, let's say you're like, I'm aware a little bit of my feelings, but I try not to look at them. Like I'm aware of the things, the patterns that continue to show up in my life, and you feel like you are avoiding your feelings. You're avoiding sitting down with yourself. That's what this would look like. You're avoiding sitting down with yourself in silence. Maybe you are also resistant to not consuming anything from the outside, like not consuming music, not consuming podcasts, not consuming books, not consuming courses. Like you feel like you have to always be consuming something, and it almost kind of feels like it's a distraction from what's actually going on inside. If you find yourself in that space, maybe something that you can do is going out for a walk without listening to a podcast, without listening to anything at all, and it's just you with your body, feeling the movements of you walking, really just coming back to your body and noticing all the sensations, what's going on when you walk in a certain way, without trying to force anything. I hope what's coming across is that I'm giving you ideas based on where you could be at. That's really all I can do in these videos, is kind of give you an idea or some kind of base for something to try and see, okay, is this where I'm at? Is this something I can try? Is this something that works for me? Is this my next step? It's just giving you ideas to see what will light up your body. What is the next step for your body? Oftentimes for me, and this doesn't have to be exactly how it shows up for you, but when something feels like the next step for me, or feels like that's the direction my body wants to go in, is I'll get excited about it. My body will light up and be like, oh, that's the thing I want to do. That's the book I want to read. That's the movement I want to do. That's the food I want to eat right now. That is the activity I want to do in this moment. And that is really what being authentic really is about. It's not this idea of how you have to show up and what you have, like this specific idea of yourself and who you're going to be, and that's your authentic self, because your authentic self is always changing, always evolving. Especially if you're doing this healing work, you're not always going to be showing up the same way. And once you start have this image of yourself and you think, oh, this is my authentic self, that is no longer your authentic self, because you could change your mind tomorrow and then feel stuck that you have to keep showing up as this version you set up for yourself. So allowing your body to take the lead and allowing yourself to really sit in discomfort as much as is tolerable, not to a point where it kind of puts you back in survival mode or keeps you in survival mode, but as much as is okay for you in that moment, and learning to show yourself grace, show yourself compassion when you're not feeling your best. I know for me, sometimes during my luteal phase, I'm like, okay, like there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of mood swings, I'm not feeling my best, I feel like I'm not looking my best, and I'm so bloated, and I'm like, it's so easy when we've been criticized as kids growing up to do that now to ourselves. It is so easy to just jump right in and criticize ourselves and like like just beat ourselves up. But I'm learning, and I want to be authentic here, is that this is something I'm still working through, is learning how to show myself grace, learning how to show myself compassion in those moments when I'm not showing up and my hormones, I'm not showing up in the best way, and I'm feeling sad or I'm feeling emotional and I'm having all these mood swings and I'm not showing up as my best self in my relationship. And my hormones are doing some crazy shit. Like, when all of that is showing up, I am learning to show myself grace, because I'm not only going to love myself when things are going amazing and my hormones are at their peak and I'm like in my ovulatory phase or follicular phase. Like, I'm learning to show myself grace and love in all of the phases, in all the ranges, in all of the emotions, and all my experiences. And I feel like that is the most healing thing that I could do for myself, and I think that is the most healing thing anyone can do for themselves. And that is the most healing that I feel like I can offer as a coach to someone else, to just allow them to exist in whatever they are feeling, to witness them in whatever they are feeling without trying to change it, without trying to fix it. And whenever I show up, I remember, and I show up for myself in this way, that is the most healing thing for me. And I will say that it's not always the easiest thing to remember in the moment, that when I'm having a bad day or when I'm not showing up as my best self, to remember to show myself grace. That's not always the easiest, because from my childhood I've been conditioned that when something bad shows up, or something that is different than what is normal and what is societally acceptable, that I don't need to judge myself, I don't need to beat myself up, I don't need to criticize myself into being different. I can learn to accept myself exactly as I am in the moment, learn to be with myself, and that in turn helps other people even feel comfortable around me. That in turn helps other people feel at ease around me, that they don't actually have to be perfect all the time, because I'm not perfect all the time. I used to have this wall up, and I think it's still, there's a little bit of it there, that I put up this facade that I'm like perfect and nothing ever goes wrong and I have it all figured out. And it was like something that I feel like didn't allow people to really be themselves around me, to show all parts of them, that they had to be perfect around me. And as a human being, I don't want to feel like I have to be perfect all the time in front of people and that I can't be human, because that is freaking exhausting. That is so freaking exhausting. And I want to offer other people the same grace. I want to offer other people that same openness, that same acceptance that I want to offer for myself, that I want for myself when I'm around other people. And I know we don't live in a perfect world, and it's not always going to be like that, but we get to heal and be the examples of that. We get to be the one that heals, even if there are no other examples in our lives. I'm sure you maybe have one example of someone who is like this in your life, but even if you don't, you get to be that person. You get to become comfortable in your own skin. You get to accept all parts of you, see all parts of you, and I promise you that when you stop running away from the shadows that are within you, within all of us, because we're all human, when you stop looking away from them and they are seen by you, they are witnessed by you, and they see that they're not bad, that is where you find the most healing. That is where you find the most healing. And all of that is within your body. So I hope that you found this video helpful, and if any questions came up or there's something that I missed or didn't cover, please leave a comment down below. I want to hear your thoughts, your key insights, anything that you took away from this video, any questions that came up as you watched. Leave those down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Something you can do right now to bring yourself back into your body, and to, let's say you feel like you're hovering above your seat, like you're sitting down but you're not really fully relaxed into your seat. I want you to put your feet on the ground. My feet are not on the ground right now. I really like to crisscross my feet a lot of the time, but I put my feet down on the ground, and really feel yourself melting into the chair or whatever you're sitting on. You can lie down. You can do this lying down if you'd like. And allow any sounds to come up that wanted to just be expressed, if there are any. And feel your feet on the floor. And see if you can allow your feet to relax. And allow any kind of movements that your body, if there are any movements that your body wants to do, any sounds that want to come out, and if there isn't anything, that is okay. And what putting your feet on the ground does is that it actually just anchors you. If you feel like you've been hovering too much, or you're really in your head and you want to bring yourself back into your body, maybe you've had like a really long day and you've been scrolling on TikTok, or you have a really busy work day and you've been really in your head. This is a way to bring yourself back into your body and ground your energy back into your body. And allow your body to move in any way that it would like to move. And if you don't want to move and you just want to stay still, that is also okay. Just see what your body wants to do. And if being in your body right now feels like too much, totally okay. Sometimes it can feel like a lot going into the body, and that's okay. Maybe you can try swaying side to side if that feels good. Maybe you can try holding your arms, just cupping them like this. Maybe you can try butterfly tapping. And these are all tools that are just there for you if you want to use them. See if any of them are calling your name. If they feel good, feel free to try them out. And then bring yourself back. Open your eyes if they were closed. And see if anything shifted, if anything.